just created another stream, which I stopped and quickly deleted, and we're going to start new here. So I'm really sorry about that. And I'm glad you could all join me. Today I'm streaming with natural light. I hope it's light out for long enough, but it's really long light out right now here. So yeah, that should be fine. But if you feel it's getting too dark and like you don't like watching it because it's getting too dark, just let me know and I can just quickly turn on some lights or something. So today I wanted to talk to you about my task management system in Notion. Or, well, it's not really I wouldn't technically call it a system. It's just how I manage my tasks. And I was just going to walk you through everything and how I have everything set up, the multiple views I have, my database and the filters and everything I have there. But before I do that, I quickly wanted to show you 2 new databases I added to my setup since the last time I streamed. And I thought we were going to start with that. So let me share my screen real quick. So here we are. And the first new database is actually my tracker database. And as you can see, it's a synced block. I have it synced to my Quickie dashboard, which is the one I use on mobile. So whenever I change something with the filters or the views in this database, it's synced to the Quickie dashboard. That's why I use it over just another linked database. And the tracker is simply a database that I have linked to my daily log where I track multiple things. So I used to track most of those things in my daily log, but I've just found it easier to create a new database where I can create multiple entries for each day for each thing. For example, I track what my baby eats. I track when he sleeps. I also track what I eat and the exercises I do. And I just found it easier when for every instance, basically, I can create a new entry. And right now, this is filtered to show where date is today, and it's linked to today in my daily log. And I'm so glad Notion dealt with this bug or whatever it was. And whenever I add a new entry, those 2 are added automatically. It was like really, really bad when that didn't work for like a day or something, but it's back to working. So I'm really happy. I'm also going to change something up with my task database and add something new in here, but I'm going to talk about that in a second when I get to the actual task database. So let me just see. Esme is here. Hi, Esme. Gail, you're here as well. So glad to see you guys. I'm glad it actually works and you can see me and I didn't like create another stream or anything like that as I did before. So yeah. Then the other database I added is the notifications database. It's right now under the content heading, but I just need to create a new heading for that. I don't know why I put it there. Or I know why I put it there because I want to put it like at the bottom of this column, but I just need to add another heading and that has nothing really to do with my content. And in my notifications database, I get a notification or I get a new entry every time someone mentions me in a tweet. So whether they answer my tweet, they quote, retweet, make a quoted retweet of one of my tweets, or if they just mention me just like that in a tweet. I also get notifications when someone answers a comment in Reddit that I made or comments on a post I made in Reddit and a couple of other things. And as you can see here, I have currently 2 things in my notifications database. And how I did this or how it works is for my tweets is actually just one step. It's pretty easy. You can just choose the trigger that every time you're mentioned, it sends it to a database. That's what I did with the tweets. And, oh, Luke's here too. Hi, Luke. So everyone's here. So great. Yeah. So for the other things in my notifications database, I don't have like multiple subs for everything, especially since, for example, Reddit doesn't, or Zapier or Automate.io doesn't support Reddit, for example. And I'm actually using Automate.io for the Twitter thing because I've my 3 free subs tied up in calendar syncing and stuff like that. So I'm using Automate.io. I'm sorry. So it's, I think they call it bots. So it's one bot to set the tweets to the database. And everything else, I'm using a new app or program, and it's called BlockBase. It's currently in private beta, so you can't access it right now, but you will be soon. And through this, I can have a filter in my email program and just forward all the emails I want in my notification database to a certain email I got from this program. And everything that is forwarded to this email gets added to my database. So I'm using it for notifications. You can obviously use it for other things, other kinds of emails you want in your Notion databases. So it's not just for notifications, but that's the way I use it right now. And it's really amazing so far. As I said, it's in private beta, and it's been developed by F and Ned. So I'm going to link you F's Twitter in the info box. After this stream, I'm going to link it. She's Evie Link or something like that on Twitter. It's Eve Chapman. I'm not sure how to say her actual Twitter handle, but I'm sure you all know her, and a lot of you, or well, there's 2 of you, as me, already knows about this. So it's just you, Gail, but it's really amazing. So if you get the updates on when it's going to be released, but it's going to be really, really soon, and it's really amazing. But enough about my 2 new databases. Let's talk about my task management system. So for me, I have a lot of stuff in my task database because I'm someone, whenever I get an idea or see something that I need to do or anything, I need to put it down in writing. I need to write it down somewhere. I need to have it somewhere. Otherwise, it's going to be in my head all the time, and it just won't stop. Even though maybe a lot of the stuff I write down, I don't actually end up doing, and I maybe even delete it out of my database, I still need to put it down in the first place to get it out of my head. And then I obviously have a lot of different tasks. I have home tasks, I have business tasks, and things like that. And then I have tasks that I need to do right now. I need to do at a specific date, things I want to do, things I want to do eventually. Like, there are a lot of different kinds of priorities and different kinds of things I have in my task database because, as I said, I want to put everything in there. I need to write everything down. I need to get everything out of my head. So I played around with it and found a way that works for me right now, where I have access to everything I need whenever I need it, but I don't feel overwhelmed. And the way I do this is I have one database. It's called My Calendar, and it holds tasks and events. And another thing that's new, it's my waiting on view. That's just another tag. It's waiting on, and I have everything I'm waiting on right now. For example, it's whether an email came. Oh, here, that I can tick that off. It's whether the BlockBase email appeared in my database. So I sent a test email when I first started, and I wasn't able to just check right away. So I just put it down to check if it worked, and it worked, as I just told you about the database, but it worked, so I can just tick this off. And actually everything else I was waiting on right now is also arrived, so I can just tick it off. It's done. It doesn't matter if it's like it's not actually done, it's arrived, but I didn't create an extra checkbox for arrived. I just used a done checkbox. And I have this one filtered for date is empty or date is on or before today, and the tag is waiting on. And done is empty, obviously. Some things I have a date. For example, I just ordered some things on Amazon and I added a date when they're supposed to arrive. I don't need to see them right now because they're not supposed to arrive until next week. But there are also things that maybe don't have a date. I'm just waiting on something to happen. Could be today, could be tomorrow, or whatever. So I also have it filtered to show the ones that don't have a date. And I think I'm going to just show you all the properties I have in this database real quickly. And the first one that I was just talking about is the waiting on, and this is the type. So in here I have task, event, recurring task, remember this, and waiting on. And remember this is actually what I said before, what I'm going to use to move to my tracker. So before, or up until now, whenever something important happened that I wanted to remember, I added it in my calendar database, tagged it with remember this, and related it to my daily log. And this would be things like anything relating to the baby, any kind of symptoms one of us might be having, but also we just bought a new stroller, I put this in here, or when I changed the tires to my car, or anything like that. So anything I wanted to remember for some reason for the future, I put in here and just tagged it with remember this, and then added the date and stuff like that. But since I created the tracker database, I thought it would make more sense to have the remember this things moved to the tracker database. But I just created the tracker database yesterday or the day before that, so I haven't done that yet. That's why the tag is still here, but that's what I'm going to do. So then we basically only have tasks, events, and waiting on, and the recurring tasks, but they're obviously tasks as well. Then I have the date. I just have it called date. It's not a due date or a due date or anything like that. It can be a due date. It can be the date an event is on. And a lot of time the date is actually empty because I don't really like setting arbitrary dates for a lot of the things I do. I only use this if I really have to get something done on a certain day, or if it's an event or something like that. Then this is the day of the week, which is important for the view that I'm actually using most of the time. You'll see that one later on. Then I have area, and I also have the area, or it's here I call it pillars, so I can use both as a relation to my areas database. But the thing is, I don't like to have every small little task I have to do related to my areas database. That would be just too much. But I still want to be able to filter my tasks for the area. That's why I have a select here, or it's a multi-select because something can be related to 2 areas. And usually I use this one for all the areas I have. But if it's something really important, or if it's an event, I'm going to use the relation. Then the next one is the context context property, not database. And here I do have some areas again, but I use those specifically for filtering in the new view I have. And I can't really explain why I didn't use the area property for this. It's just with the context, they're not, well, how to explain this? The thing is, for example, when it comes to home, I have different categories. The yellow ones are my home categories. I have like household, I have health, I have family, I have finances, and I have work. But for the view I have in my daily dashboard, I only want to filter out or have a filtered view for all of my household tasks. So instead of tagging a task with all of them and then not being able to, for example, filter for all my health-related tasks, I decided to add another property, in which case I called it context. And here I would just choose house or home or whatever you want to call it, instead of going for like health or finance or whatever it is. So that's why I have those 2 with some of the same information. As you can see, I have for house, I have only 1. But then for example, my business, I have content and business, because those are the different ways in which I want to view my task list. But in the areas, I have content, website, business, consulting, networking. So I have more areas to more specifically show what the task is regarding, what the task is about, but I don't have a different task list for all of these things. So that's where the context one comes in. And the other ones I have down here are related to the remember this tag, but they will be deleted soon once I move all the remember this things. There, for example, what's it called? I have blanking. I don't know what the English word is, which is ridiculous. I have symptoms. I have another one I don't remember. So right now it's getting really weird. Whatever. I have self-care. I have new for new things. I have milestone, which should be green actually, since they all belong together. Yeah. So things like that. And as I said, right now I'm totally blanking on regular everyday words. So whatever. The first one is like everything to do with food, like the way you like maybe, yeah, diet probably would be. Everything related to your diet would probably be the right word. And this one is, well, kind of like education, but not really. Whatever. I'm not going to try to explain it. This isn't really important. It's just the thing I take my remember this stuff with. Then I have a who property, which has me, my husband, and my son. And again, I have the family property here, which is related to my family database, where I have all of us as well, and also my 2 cats. And same with the areas. I don't need to relate every single thing to our family database. Some things I want to relate it to the family database, so the relation is here, but I don't want to relate everything, but I still want the differentiation sometimes. So I hardly ever use my tag, because basically everything in there is my task or task I have to do or event I have to go to. And I basically just use those 2 for my husband and my son if I want to like write down a task my husband has to do, or if it's an appointment about my son or something like that. Then the next one is my priority. And here I have next action, soon, someday maybe, and planned. And the planned one works together with the days of the week for my main view to show me what I actually need to do that day or that week. And I get into that a little later. Yes, the family database. Yes, it's really useful, especially if you properly set up the page itself, so the dashboard, because you can see everything related to a family member and stuff like that. So it's really useful. I actually haven't set mine up properly yet, but I loved. So if you want to see how to properly set up, or well, properly, I mean, it's in the eye of the beholder. Everyone has different needs. But if you want to see an amazing setup of a family page or dashboard for a family member, go check out one of Esme's last stream. I don't remember which one. Maybe it was the tracking one, but she has an amazing setup. So go look at that. Development. Yes. Thank you, Gail. Development. That was what I was trying to say. So yeah, it's developmental milestones of my baby, basically, like when he first started to crawl, when he's making or having his first steps. I don't know, but that's what I was thinking about. Yeah. Still trying to plan out a family database for mine. Yeah. So for me, the family database, if you want, I can quickly show you the properties I have in that one later on. But I basically, for properties, I have basic information like allergies, blood type, birthday, height. Well, for me and my husband, not for the little one, because that's obviously changing. And I also have information about me having glasses in there, and my husband is lactose intolerant, so that's in there. So really the basic information about us. And then inside the page itself, I'm going to have basically all my database is linked and filtered for each of us to see everything, like from work history to doctors to medication, basically everything. Lizzie, don't worry, you're not that late. I'm just getting started. So I'm basically just showing you all the properties in my task manager, and then I'm going to start on explaining how I actually use it. So yeah, you're not late. Oh, okay. It was the puppy tracking episode. So if you want to see a really nicely set up family dashboard database style type thing, check out Esme's puppy tracking episode. How to get your family involved. I'm the only nerd in the family. Well, my family isn't really involved. My family in this case consists of my husband and my 10-month-old son. So obviously he's not involved. And my husband isn't really either. I'm mainly using the family database to keep track of information about them, not necessarily for him to actually be in there. I had set up a dashboard for him at one point for him to go in and do stuff there, and it worked for a little bit, especially when it was really important for us to track feeding and changing times for the baby right when we came home from the hospital, because we were in the hospital for a month, so it was pretty important afterwards to track everything. And that was when he actually used it and to always input the information. But once we didn't have to do that anymore, he just kind of quit. So I'm still hoping I can get him back into it, but not right now. Yeah, Esme says the same thing. Don't worry about getting them involved, just do it for them. So, yeah. So, quick recap for Lizzie. I have a date, a done checkbox, a day of the week checkbox, select property, which I will talk about in a second when I get to the actual reviews, the type where I have task, event, recurring task, and waiting on. And remember, this is something that will be moved to another database, so it's not really relevant anymore. Then I have the area, some more context, and who in the family does something. And then the priorities, which is next action, soon, someday maybe, and planned. And the planned works together with the day of the week and will become relevant in a second. Okay, a lot going on in the comments. Okay, so, Gail. So Lizzie and Gail were just talking about getting the family involved. And here we have Gail. Then I put the next group project on a second database. Slowly, she's getting used to relying on Notion to keep track. Slow indoctrination into Notion. That's actually a really good plan. Just slowly sneak it in there. Oh, Danny's here as well. Hi, Danny. Glad you could join us and watching the football. Who's playing right now? I can actually hear my baby crying, so I know my husband isn't watching, and he's probably annoyed with me for streaming right now instead of putting the baby to sleep so he can watch the football, but that's life. And he has watched enough football over the last couple of days or few days since they started. So that's now listening here too. Who said multitasking was bad? Yeah, I'm sure you're paying perfect attention to football and like get every pass and everything and write perfect notes if you're doing everything at the same time. But I'm really glad you could join us. Okay, so let's get on with it. I have two relations to my daily log database. One is for tasks and events, and one is for the remember this tag, which again will be removed. Then I have one for my room of requirement, which is my project and everything like that. I hardly actually use this relation, but it's still there in case I need it. I have a relation to my weekly view, which again, I hardly use. This is only for really, really important stuff that I also want to be able to see when I look at a week, but hardly anything really goes in there. Then I have my contacts or people or CRM database, whatever you want to call it. And I use this more often if like a task or an event involves someone else. I just link it. Then I have a media relation. This is mainly for when something is like a release date for a movie or a book or something like that. I usually create a task. It's like I usually take it with an event because it's not a task nor an event, but I didn't want to create a third or a fourth like tag just for release dates. But I just want to see it that day if something new comes out. So there's the relation. Then I have my doctors database, and I actually had my doctors in my people database for a while, but I decided to have a separate database. So if it's a doctor's appointment or anything like that, I will link the doctor. Then I have my areas and my family database. And as I said before, I also have areas and family up here. And those are only for the really important stuff I want to actually see when I open those databases and not for the everyday type stuff. Then I have a link to my content calendar, which I use a lot because often my content, like if I plan a video or a task, obviously they have a video or a live stream, they obviously have tasks related to them. So we go in here. Then I have a link to my inventory database, which was mainly used for, again, the remember this things. If I got something new, I would have a remember this entry, like here with the remember this, and then link it to the thing. But I would also use it if, for example, I needed to maybe call someone to repair something. I would relate or add this thing that needed to be repaired in here, something like that. Then I have a notes property, which I could put notes down here in the body of the page, but I hardly ever use the body of the page at all. So I just added a notes property because that way I can easily see it in a view if there are notes rather than having to open the page to see the notes. Then I have a last edited. Then I have this formula which shows whether or not something that has a date is within the current week. And then I have this one, that is order, and this is kind of my time blocking, but I have in here like morning, late morning, afternoon, evening, yeah, and noon. So like I've just separated the day in 5 chunks basically, and this again is important for a view, which I will show you later on. Then I have another property. This one's actually called area. So as you can see, I'm kind of having trouble naming things if I have 3 properties that are all technically areas. So that's why things have different names than what I'm actually saying to you right now, because yeah, I can't just have 3 areas properties. And I already explained my other 2 areas properties to you. And this one has just 4 things. It has Kimpinelli, which is my business, home and family, hobbies, and admin. And this is just to further separate everything. So I have a separation for my views in, as I said, for example, content and other business tasks, and for home tasks and things like that. But sometimes I just want to see all tasks related to business. So instead of adding multiple filters, so and this and this and this, I just added another property, which is probably a little bit too much, but it works for me. So there you go. I have a link property, a URL property, which I sometimes use. Then I have this planned formula, and this shows me if I have here for priority, I've planned, and the day of the week is the day that we have today. So for example, today is Friday. So now I have chosen Friday, and priority is planned. So now this one is checked, which again will come later with my views. Then I have the private checkbox, which is solely for my streams and videos to hide some tasks from you all. Then I have the relation, those 2 are, I've related the database to itself in case I have like tasks or events that rely on each other. And these are those 2 properties. And then, I have an archive for my old daily database. I have this data. I had a different daily log database before, and then I created a new one, but it didn't delete the old one because I wanted to keep the relations for tasks and stuff like that. So I still have it in here, but that's the only one I have hidden because I really don't use it anymore. I just have it for like the old tasks. Yeah. And it's basically for all my properties I have in here. Properties are our friends if you maintain a healthy relationship with them. Yes, and I think compared to other people whom I'm not going to look at right now, I have a very healthy relationship. I mean, I'm not going to count them right now, but they're definitely under 50. Probably under 25, I assume. I'm really bad at like guessing things, but I don't have that many, and they all make sense to me. And I think that's the important part. So obviously I love having a lot of properties. so I'm not shaming anyone. But I think the most important thing is that they make sense to you. But you should occasionally just go back and go through all of them and see if you really need all of them. Otherwise, it can get too complicated if you don't really know yourself what all the properties are for. It might have sounded like this right now when I was trying to explain them to you, but that's truly just because I'm not really sure how to explain what's going on in my head. But in my head, literally all of them make sense, and I feel like I need all of them. I obviously don't need all of them. I could delete a lot of them and it still would work, but it really makes sense for me. But I think it's important to go through it every now and again and really see if it still makes sense to you. Obviously, you can hide those that you don't need anymore, but if you don't really know what you have had ever needed it for or something like that, then maybe it's time to actually delete a property. But other than that, just hide them, the ones you don't need right now, or just hide them all and have a linked database and show only the ones you need. So let's go back to my daily dashboard. And let's hide this comment again. So here, as I said, the waiting on one for just the stuff I'm waiting on. And then let's get to my actual toggles up here. Yes, I mean, I wasn't talking about you as me. I know you only have like 3 properties in all of your databases, so you're all good. And Lizzie is at a point she's scared to throw them away, even though I didn't use them the last 6 months. Yeah, so I think it depends. Even though if you didn't use them for a long time, if there is a chance that you need to go back to look at something from a year ago and then the property is important, then I wouldn't delete them. I would keep them and just hide them. But if there really is no point to that property, even when it comes to keeping a record or being able to look back for something, then I would delete them. But if you really don't need them anymore, yeah. But that's really something like you have to figure out if it's something that's important or not. Like I said, with the archived daily log database, I obviously don't need it anymore. I haven't needed it for a long time, but I want to keep the relation because if I ever need to check something, I want to have the relation to the daily database. Or if I need to check something in those days, then I want to see which tasks I did or events I had that day. That's why I keep it archived. But other than that, I have deleted a lot of properties over time because there are things I just don't need anymore. Well, to each their own, I would say. Everyone has their vices, and properties isn't like the worst thing you can have as your weakness, I'd say. So let's just close this toggle for a second and show you what I have here. So all of those are basically views of my task database, or not basically, they're views of my task database, of my calendar database, as it's called. And we just talked about the waiting on. Then I have my appointments, and this just shows me all the appointments that are today, or well, I have on or before today, because maybe I just didn't think to, I don't know. No, I do know. So I'm just saying, I don't know, but I do have a reason for this. So I could just have it is today because events are usually time bound. So if it was yesterday, I can't just attend the event today or appointment. I'd obviously at event, but obviously it's everything like a doctor's appointment or meeting someone like at a playground or anything like that. But sometimes I want to add like notes to if it was an actual meeting or something like that, or I just forgot to tick it off or things like that. And then if I had a filter to be only today, then if I didn't do it that day, they would basically be gone, and I'd have them somewhere in my database, either unchecked or without the notes in them or anything like that. So I have it on or before today so that I can see all my events until I've actually checked them off, and I will only check them off once I've added all the relevant information, if there's information to be added. And now here is where it gets interesting, at least in my opinion, which is my actual tasks and yeah, my actual view, how I can see my tasks and everything like that. Oh, Luke's here with your own channel or account. Hi again. Thank you for coming to watch on your own. So here, the last one is actually just the done things, and this is another one I stole from Esme. She has in her system all of her, or I don't know if all of them, but what she showed us once, were her tasks in a table view, and then at the end of the day or whenever she would go through and relate the tasks to the day in which she actually did them. And I really, really like that idea, but I prefer to have my tasks in a list view or in a Kanban view, but not really in a table view. But in a list view or in a Kanban view, I have to actually open the pages to relate them to the day. So instead of like doing that, I created a new toggle in here or a new view with a table database, and I filtered it for done is checked and last edited is today, and private, it's not private because of the stream. So I can go through this at the end of the day and relate everything to today that I did today, or maybe to yesterday if I did it yesterday and just checked it off today. But I can do that in a table view, which is really nice, but I don't have to actually work out of a table view. So that's why we have this separate toggle. And then those are the ones that are most important. The first one is the currently toggle, which is where I actually work out of every day. And the second one is my master task list, basically. So shall we start with the daily one? And I have two views here, my daily one and my weekly one. And for the daily one, I have those 5 blocks of the day in which I separate all my tasks. So I have the morning, the late morning, noon, afternoon, and then we have the evening here. And I have actually one task that doesn't have a tag like that. Oh, it's the new one we just created. Okay. So we can delete that. So this makes it easy for me to see whenever I have to do something. So for example, this morning I had to water the plants. I can check that one off. And then I have other things here during the day. And the way this works is, of course, first of all, I have to add all the relevant tags and put it in the right categories, so everything shows up here. But then the way I filter this is for done is unchecked, obviously. And then I have either planned is checked or it's an appointment, because for appointments, I don't bother with the planned priority and the day of the week, because appointments always have a date. So I don't really need that. But since I don't like putting arbitrary dates on a lot of my tasks, I just have it in my database as a priority, for example, as next action. And then when I sit down to plan the next day, or maybe in the morning when I want to plan this day, I just go through my master list and see what I want to actually do today. And then I add the planned priority. So I change it from next action or from soon to planned. But sometimes I want to plan out the entire week, or I just have something that I already know I'm going to do on that day. So I didn't just want to rely on this planned property. Otherwise, I would see things I don't actually want to do today. So I added the day of the week property and this formula which checks off when the priority is planned and the day of the week is the day we have right now. So that's that. And then we have date is on or before today, or date is empty. Date is empty is really important. As I said, I hardly ever use dates, but sometimes I do, and especially for events, but sometimes for tasks as well. So this should also be in here, so I don't actually see dates from like in a month or something like that. I only see where the date is today or before today, but I didn't check it off, or when the date is empty. And that is how I only see all the tasks I want to see in here. Those are all the tasks I want to do today, or that I still have to do today. For example, prepare Notion for the stream. I already did that. Plan what I'm going to say and maybe write a script. I didn't do that at all, but I'm just going to take it off because I'm already streaming, so there's no point in doing it. I could delete it, but I'm just going to take it off. Yeah, so that's where I'm actually in most of the day. And again, how this works is I go through my master task list through here and see what all I have to do. And some of them are next action or soon. This one has a date attached to it, which, as you can see, it was supposed to be on the 14th. Today is the 18th, and I didn't do it. So really, me and dates isn't really a good combination, except if it's something that really has a strict deadline. But at the end of the day or the beginning of the day, I go through this, see what all I have to do. And then if it's something I want to do the next day or that day, I change it from next action to planned and add the day of the week. So which I don't actually have in here. Where did it go? The property should show up here. Otherwise, this doesn't really work. Great. Let's put that here. Where are we? In front of the prior. So now, oops. Delete that. So I'm going to go through this and say, okay, I want to do this tomorrow. So I add tomorrow is Saturday, and then I change this to planned. And now it's gone because I filtered it so planned doesn't show up. And it's not here because today isn't Saturday, so I don't need to see it. But where it is right now is in my weekly view. So the weekly view is sorted by the day of the week, and it shows everything I have to do that day. Most of the stuff in here are recurring tasks, for example, my evening routine or my digital evening routine. I've separated those two. And they're in here for every day because I want to do them every day. But as you can see here for Saturday, I also have the Gumroad. I want to update my Gumroad profile. So now it's in here for Saturday. And then tomorrow, because of the formula I had in here for today, the planned formula, it will show in my daily view because tomorrow is Saturday. So it shows up there. And that's basically how I work with this database. I have everything I need in here, and then I can just check it off. And over here, I have a weekly view. So on Sunday, I can plan the next week, or sometimes I just have something I know I want to do on a certain day. So I can put it in here right away. And also during the week, I can just go through this and see whatever I have planned on a certain day. The only thing that doesn't show up here are tasks that have a date and no priority. So if I have a task or an event on Thursday, for example, it wouldn't show up in here because it doesn't have a priority. And this is only filtered for the priorities, because if I had everything in here, so as you can see, it's this week or date is empty. And okay. Let me try again. I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting a little confused here. For the filters we have done is unchecked, obviously. We have the priority is planned and the date is this week or empty. And a lot of my appointments don't actually have the planned tag, so they don't show up here. I could add the planned tag to all my appointments so they show up here. And then they would show up here in the no property thing, and I would have to check them over here, which I could obviously do. But since my appointments get added in my Google Calendar and then added to Notion through Zapier, I don't usually manually add anything to them, and I don't really need to see them in here because right now I don't have many appointments. If I do, they're usually like doctor's appointments for the little one or other things like that, and they're really few and far between. So I know if I have something one day. So if I check this for next week and I don't see an appointment in there, it doesn't throw me off because I know I have an appointment there. But for the daily view, as I said, the appointment shows up. So I'm really able to properly plan my day and see what all I have to do for the rest of the day. Maybe a stupid question, but if you add a day, it planned, isn't it? Just wondering the planned property. Not necessarily. So, for example, if everything that had a day was planned, wait, give me a second. As I said before, everything makes sense to me. I just need to think about, like, you put me on the spot, Lizzie. But no, seriously, it's a good question. So, on risk of sounding like every teacher ever, there are no stupid questions because obviously you're not in my head. So what would be the disadvantage of deleting the planned property? If I deleted the planned property and just made it so that, what would happen if instead of geplant, planned is checked, I would just have there is a day added. But date would be empty. Oh, okay. So now, say I have something I want to do in the future, and I want to do it on a certain day, like day of the week, and I already want to add that day of the week to it, but not a date, because it's something I need to do maybe on a Thursday, but it could be next Thursday or the Thursday after that. So there's no date added. If I had Thursday added and I had this filter to show everything where day of the week is added and no date, then it would show up here, even though I don't actually plan or want to do it that week. So that's why the planned property is there. Like the day of the week just signifies what day of the week I want to do something, and the planned property is whether or not I actually want to do it this week. It's also relevant for recurring tasks because there are some things I may not do every week, but I do them always on a Friday. And with this, the way I have my recurring tasks set up, I can just have them as planned then. Yeah. Maybe it's a genius property and I want to use it also. Like literally, if you don't see the use, don't. Like if what I'm telling you, if you kind of want to use it the way I do it right now, and what I'm telling you would work for you without a planned property, then just leave it. But if you ever run into a problem where you think, okay, just adding the day of the week isn't enough, then maybe think about it again. So as I said, I'm really having trouble explaining myself right now. And maybe later on tonight, I'll think about it again and I realize I don't need a planned property. But I just implemented this like a week or 2 weeks ago. And I really feel like I need it, even though I can't explain myself right now. See, that's the reason why I'm doing those live streams separate from my regular videos. Those aren't to teach you anything. Those are just a look into my mind. So if this was a regular video, it would be way more important for me to actually know what I'm talking about. Right now, I'm just showing you what's going on in my head. And my head says I need that property. So maybe later on when we talk about something else, I have time to like go over it in the back of my mind, and then I can come back to it and explain properly why I need it. Now you extend, that's my weak property. See? It makes sense. My explanation made sense. That's great. That's not always the case, but I'm happy. It was the case in this instance. Let me just drink something real quick. And I have to say the lighting is holding up great. So we're almost an hour in and I'm still like looking good. Like the light is still looking good. So I'm proud. I'm really proud because it's totally in my, like, I totally have control over the sun and how light it is outside. And that's why I'm proud. I'm proud of me for controlling the sun, just so you know. If I add a week, the due date is automatically created. Okay, yeah, see, everyone kind of, well, no, not everyone, but a lot of people have different ways to achieve the same thing. And that's why Notion is so great. We can all do whatever we want. And maybe we want the same thing, but we just go there different ways. And obviously it would all be easier to explain if we all spoke the same language and half of my space wasn't in German. But hey, there you go. In case like you were wondering, I realized a lot of my properties actually have German names because I'm kind of wanting my husband to use Notion with me, but then a lot of things in the database are actually in English because I know I'll just use them, just me and not him, so I'm just going to keep them in English. But yeah, it works that way for me. Then the next one I just called a toggle task. So as you probably know by now, unless this is your first time watching anything of me, and if so, hi. As you probably know by now, I don't like naming things. That's why I have a toggle that just says tasks, even though like all of those are tasks, but whatever. And this is my master task list. So obviously it's the same database, but this one is basically my daily and weekly task list, and this is my master task list. And in here I have several different views, and those are the context I explained before, where I have the different areas, because that's how I filter them. I have one for household, I have one for admin, which is basically just another word for Notion. So everything I want to change around in Notion. Then I have one for digital, one for content, business, and for my recurring tasks. And the way I've set them up is basically just everything that's not done. Date is empty or on or before today, and priority is not planned. So as you can see here, done is unchecked, the date, and then, I don't actually have and priority is not planned. The type is task. And then I have the context is business, because this is the business part of the list. And then I also have area contains kimpinelli. As I said, the area property is actually like the big areas of my life, like my business, my home, hobbies, and admin, although I hardly ever use the admin tag. And this is mainly only here, so if I add something right here, it's already got all the relevant tags. I see new comments. Lizzie, do you want me to go on another rant? I feel like that's something I talk about in every one of my videos and every one of my live streams. But yeah, language isn't a problem the way we are thinking is. Yeah, but how do you actually get someone to know what you're thinking? It's through telling them. And for telling them, you need to use language. So yeah. But again, whether we're calling it language or not language is another instance of the same kind of problem. It's just we're talking all about the same thing, we're just using different names. At least that's my opinion. And Lizzie's mix is a notion of Dutch and English too, because sometimes it's easier shorter. Yeah, and for me, a lot of the time it's just because most of the content I consume is English. Most of the people I actually interact with online are speak English to me. They aren't necessarily English, and English isn't necessarily their first language, but we all communicate in English. Obviously, as you all know, because you're watching this video and you're probably like people I communicate with in English. So yeah, but yeah, then that's that way. If I think something, it's easier for me to actually put it down in English rather than translating it in my head or something like that. So yeah, in here, as I said, I have the different instances. And right now we're in the business one. So this is my list with everything I have in my head right now that has to do with my business, and that either has no date or has a date that is already past or is today. And that's not private because, again, I hide some things, obviously, for the streams. But the way this is set up is filtered by priority. So nothing in here is next action. And F1 that actually has no priority because it has a date. But since the date is already gone, so it should probably be next action. And for me, Before I had it separated into these categories, basically. I already had the next action and soon tags, but so much was next action and so much was soon, and I still got overwhelmed because there was like a list like that with next action steps, and I really didn't know where to start. But with having it separated into different categories, I know, for example, things that are next action in my business are maybe more important than things that are next action in digital. Digital, for example, I have here some things I want to like set up my watch. Like it doesn't make sense, like the apps I have on there and whatever. I just need to go through this. And then I have some recaps I want to write of books I read. I just write them for myself. So if I'm reading the next book in the series, I know what happened like before. And I want to like go through my Obsidian and organize that one. I want to organize my Canva. I need to update my Goodreads because I haven't added a lot of books I read lately to my Goodreads. So all of those things are in here. But even if there are next action, like my watch setup, because I really want to do that soon, it's not as important as anything that's maybe in my content for next action or in my business for next action. Those are more important things. So that's why separating the task list in actual categories has helped me work better than even just the priorities. So for the different categories we have here, the first one, as I said, is home life, home and family, whatever. And as you can see, I have some next action here, and I have to admit, most of them have actually been here for a while. For example, like the update, the baby book, is something I really, really need to do. That's why it's next action. But I just haven't done it. And I think it's been on there for weeks. And before, when I had everything in the same list, the fact that it was there, it would really wouldn't have, or it didn't work for me because it was there, and I didn't want to relegate it down to soon, because the soon things were things I would just check sporadically, or if I was bored or something like that, or every once in a while when I was planning my week, I was going through them and like updating the priorities. But I wouldn't look there regularly. So relegating this to soon didn't feel right because it's something I really, really need to do. But also, it's not as important as other things I have. For example, for my content, if I had a task like edit and upload video, which would be maybe going online tomorrow. So obviously, today, editing and uploading the video would be a lot more important than updating the baby book. Yet, they're both next action because I don't really want to relegate the baby book too soon. So that's something I really struggled with, and that's why I always got overwhelmed with my to-do list. But by separating it in different lists, basically, it's way easier for me to deal with because I can just look in here and see, okay, they're all next action, they're all things I really need to do, but there's nothing I need to do today. So I can just go out of this and go to my next one, check what is here. Admin is another one where I have stuff that's like, yeah, for example, my processing dashboard, I really need to get in there. I have a lot of databases where I haven't processed in quite a while, and I really need to update a lot of pages. And that's the next thing. Like if I have time for anything outside of home and business, that's my next action. But it's not on the same level as anything I maybe have to do in my business. So again, separating it really, really helped me. My Notion is a mix of English and swear. Well, that's great. Do you actually, like for me, I know I don't think I swear on stream or on screen, like live, whatever. And I don't swear that much in general, but I do swear. I don't like censor myself or anything. But in writing, I hardly ever swear. It kind of feels weird, like swear writing, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. But yeah, And I actually haven't seen anything swear related in anything you've shown us on stream or something like. So I'd be really interested, like, what, like, do you like call a database fuck you or something, or like, what does it mean? Yeah. Well, I am surprised because I don't know how it would work, but I'm not surprised that if someone has swear in their Notion dashboard, whatever, it's admin. So, yeah. So, admin. The next one, digital. No, I already talked about digital. I also talked about admin. I'm not going to show content because I just saw that even though I ticked the private boxes, I probably didn't implement a filter. So there's a lot of stuff in there I don't really want to show right now. And well, we've already seen business. It's not really that interesting. Then the maybe interesting part is the recurring tasks. So there are a billion ways to do recurring tasks in Notion, and none of them are perfect. And now with the API, we get even more options. I'm not using the API. I use a system that I've basically used for a long time. I stopped in between and it looked a little different because of the way I implemented it, but that's basically still the same system. And for me, recurring tasks are usually my household chores. There are some other things, but most of the things in my recurring tasks are household chores, and I have to do them every week or every day or almost every day. So the way I have set this up is they're all planned, but they have different days of the week. So for example, I'm watching the plants right now has every day of the week in here, but dusting only has Wednesday in here because I only dust on Wednesdays. We only wear pink on Wednesdays as well. No, but generally I have like my household chores separated for the days. So Mondays I do this, Tuesdays I do this, Thursdays I do this, so I don't have to do too much in one day. And I just have them tagged with the day I usually do them on. They're planned. And then, as you can see, most of them are ticked off because I have them in my daily view. Then I tick them off. And then I only untick them when I'm sitting down and planning the next day and I actually need them. So if I were to untick this one right now, it would show up in my daily database, but I don't need to have it in my daily database because I don't need to do it right now. So it's still ticked. But then when I want to do it tomorrow or today, depending on when I actually plan it, I can just untick this. Also, some things, for example, the dusting, as I said, it's on Wednesdays. But if I didn't do it on Wednesday, I can just go in here and add the Thursday, so it also shows up on Thursday. But if I do something like that, afterwards I go back and delete the Thursday, because if I don't, it'll show up every Thursday. And I only had to do it once on Thursday because I didn't get it done on Wednesday. And there are probably more automated ways to do this, but it works perfectly for me. I have everything in here, and if there's a new recurring task that pops up, I can just add it in here. They're already the priority and the days and everything is set to the way I need them, and I just uncheck them when I need them. And since I'm already sitting down and going through my other lists to see what I actually need to do for the day, it isn't really hard to go through there and just uncheck the ones I actually need for the day. 95% of my blog posts have swearing in them. My journal has swearing in it. My projects have swearing in them. Don't think databases are called root words, though. Might have to change that. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, now it makes sense. I didn't actually think of that. Yeah, okay. If I were to journal in here, there would probably be swearing as well, because I would swear in my journal entries. Makes sense. Not that it needs to make sense to me or anyone else, but it does make sense. So there's only one more part to my task management system. So if there's something else you want to see in my system afterwards, just let me know. And the thing I have is the inbox. And my inbox is just another iteration of my calendar database. And this is filtered for, let me show you. Yeah. It doesn't work the way I want it to work. I hate this. I hate when I can't see the filter and need to like change it. So this is filtered obviously where done is empty, and where the type is either empty or remember this, and or where the type is not empty, but the date is empty and the priority is empty. So for all my tasks or events or anything like that, except for the remember this things, either the date has to be filled in or it has to have a priority. If it doesn't have either, something is wrong. Even if it has a type, even if it is a task, for example, but if there's no date and no priority, something is wrong. So, but if it doesn't have a type, it's in here anyway. So I could just delete this technically, whatever. So the point of this database is, first of all, to be a failsafe. So if I add a task somewhere, but I forget to add like the type is task, then it won't show up in any of my other views of the database. So it would basically be lost. And that's why I have this in here. Of course, if it has a type, but it doesn't have a context, it wouldn't show up anyway either. But if I actually open the page and add the type and the priority or the date, then you can be pretty sure that I also added a context. So for me, the failsafe is important if I either forget to add a date or priority, or if I forget to add the type in itself. So that's what this one is for, to just have this in case I add something somewhere in my system and not fill it out properly. It's also in here for my remember this things, but again, they move databases. But if I still had them in there, I just add something throughout my tracker. So in here in my tracker, I have the remember this thing. And then if I add something new in there, sometimes I click on it and add all the information, but sometimes I just don't. And if I don't, it shows up here. And then I can just go through this, add the information and check it off, and then it's gone. But what it's also good for is if I want to just write something down, I need to get a task down, an idea down, an event down, or whatever, I can just add it in here. It stays in here. And then at the end of the day or whenever I have the time, I can sit down, go through my inbox and process it. And usually it's just a matter of actually adding like the text and everything, so it shows up in one of my other filtered views. But that's what the inbox is for. So I don't send information from anywhere else in there. It's just either me adding a task manually or as a failsafe for tasks or events that otherwise would be lost, or for the remember this thing. Yeah, and that's basically it for my task management system. Again, I was really quick. I feel like I'm talking so fast and just running through everything. But let me know if there's anything else you would like to see for today. And yeah, I'm just going to drink something and give you a few seconds because of the delay to see if anyone wants to see anything. So I've been live for 1 hour and 9 minutes right now, it seems. Yeah, okay, I was thinking it was 1 hour and 15 minutes, but as I said before, there was this little bit where I streamed to the wrong stream actually and had to change, so I was a little late. But yeah, whatever, we're just going to ignore that. So yeah, what I also wanted to tell you is I'm currently thinking about not doing any more streams like this. So I know I just started them and I really, really like this. I really like interacting with you guys, but the stream is really a lot of like pressure for me when it comes like to the times and everything like that. So I need to like get everything ready, and then it's hard to find a perfect time because it needs to be in the evening because I can't do it during the day. But then 7 o'clock is kind of not the perfect time because usually the little one is asleep by 7. But if he isn't, I'm kind of running into trouble. Also, I haven't eaten anything yet. I haven't had dinner yet because he didn't go to sleep when he was supposed to. So I didn't have time to eat before the stream and everything like that. But pushing it later, if I start at 8, then it will get too late. So it's just weird finding the right timing. And then even if I have the right timing, it's a lot of effort that goes into it with like me actually looking like a human and setting everything up and things like that. And if I film videos, for example, it's just one day I film, and if I don't feel like filming, I can just do it the other day. But with stream, obviously I need to be here at a certain time and a certain date. And yeah, I don't know, it's just also kind of weird for me. As I said, the main reason for me for doing this is because I really like interacting with you guys. But it's also, I'm just still talking to myself, and I can check the comments, but it's not really a conversation as it would be if I was actually talking to someone else on stream. And I'm still really want to do the stream me and Esme want to do together. So that's definitely still a thing that's happening. But yeah, I'm just not sure about the solo streams. So I'm considering that. It's not a done deal yet, but I'm considering it. Yeah, Esme says if they're not working for me, just stop doing them. And they take a lot of time to prep for. If they don't work for you, stop them. Yeah, so the thing is, I really like doing them, but it's just I've just realized it's a lot like to be ready on time and everything like that. So yeah, we'll see what I'm going to do. Yeah, you got to do what's best for you. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm actually considering it. I'm not really sure it because I really, really love talking to the camera or talking to anyone. So that's really why I'm still on the fence. But I'm considering it. And I thought I'd tell you. Do what feels best for you. Yes, definitely. No, I really want to do it. So, and that's another thing. I kind of, yeah, the first stream I did was with Danny. Like I was on his channel. It was really different, like talking to someone actually, and then just again talking by myself. And then there's the lag with the comments. So it's really like weird, kind of, but also not. So I just really don't know. But actually, no one said they wanted to see anything, and my husband just came in waving because the little one again isn't going to sleep. So he usually sleeps by 7. Yesterday he fell asleep by 11, and now it's 20 after 8, and he's still not asleep. So I think it's best to just, since I'm already through with everything I wanted to see, I wanted to show you guys, I think it's best to just say good night for today. And I'm definitely like going to be on Twitter and everything and just continue my videos. So it's just the live stream I'm not sure about, but I will definitely let you know. And yeah, I think that's it. Good night, everyone.